Hello, my name is Paul Washer, and I'm here in Brazil for the first time in my 30 years of ministry. I've been preaching, and I'm going somewhere else right now to also preach in another place, but I just wanted to say hi and greet the Christians here in Brazil. I also wanted to encourage you to study the Scriptures and compare what you are learning in the Scriptures with other godly believers down through the ages. Be very careful of modern evangelicalism and all the things that are happening. Learn to walk in the simplicity of obedience. Learn to walk in holiness. Your great passion should be to be more and more devoted to the person of Christ, to understand Him, to understand what He has done for you, and to serve Him with everything that you have. We live in a very corrupt world now, a world that is very, very fallen and that expresses its anger and its animosity toward God. We should realize that living in a place so corrupt can also contaminate us. So be very, very careful how you walk. Do not walk as the foolish, but walk as the wise. Every day of your life, study the Scriptures. Live on your knees. Take every need, everything to God in prayer. For you young Christians, one of the best things I can recommend is something that I've practiced, for many years. Read through the Bible systematically. Start in Genesis and read all the way through to the book of Revelation. When you finish, start all over again. Another wonderful thing to do to help you grow in your knowledge of the Word is as you're reading through the Bible, just take a notebook, and when you don't understand something, just write out a brief question about what you don't understand, and then keep reading. The wonderful thing that will happen is this. When you turn around to read through the Bible again the second time, you'll be able to answer many of your questions with the Scriptures themselves. And as you do that, you gradually grow more and more in the knowledge of God and the knowledge of Christ. Another thing that I want to recommend to you is this. If you study the Scriptures at length, if you're studying the Scriptures for hours a day, but you do not pray, then a lot of that knowledge is just going to turn to pride. And it's not going to promote much godliness in your life. So you need to study the Scriptures, but you also need to pray. And prayer is not just intercession, but prayer is also just being with God. You can even study the Scriptures on your knees. A lot of times I'll get down beside my bed and lay the Bible on the bed, and I'll read through the text on my knees. And when I see things, I'll lift them up to God. When I see things in the Scriptures that I don't see in my own life, I'll ask God to help me at that very moment. You know, God's great desire for you is that you become conformed to the image of His Son, Jesus Christ. That's not going to happen if you're just apathetic and passive. Paul even talks about how we need to discipline ourselves. Now, let me just go through this again. Study the Scriptures, but not jumping around the Bible all the time. Study from Genesis to Revelation. Also, live a life of prayer. And not just prayer, another thing, Scripture memory, because you can't have the Bible open in front of you all day long. So learn to memorize Scripture. Do you know there are people that have memorized the whole New Testament? All the Gospels, the whole book of Psalms, things like that? You can do it. I remember one time I was talking to a man who was really well known for his Scripture memory. And I said, "Brother, God has gifted you to be able to memorize so much Scripture." And you know what he told me? He said, "No, not at all. It's just that I work at it harder than you do." And that's what I want you to see. It's not easy for me to read the Bible all the time. It's not easy for me to pray because my flesh hates it. So what you need to understand is all of us have to fight against apathy. All of us have to fight against spiritual laziness. But it's those who fight against it who prevail and progress in holiness. This is very, very important. You are not going to become holy. You're not going to grow in your conformity to Christ just doing nothing. God bless you. I pray that He prospers you in everything according to His will. God bless.